welcome to what I would say, and I say it every week, but an exciting episode of a live ZoeTV.
ZoeTV, yes.
I mean, Kate, live.
Live.
And we have one guest, an amazing individual we're going to learn a lot about, John Thorhauer, our new president and CEO. Thank you for being on set to a live audience.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate being here, and I appreciate having the opportunity to speak live to our residents and our staff.
It's gonna be a fun 26, a fast 26 minutes, because we got a lot we want to learn about you. We got a lot of topics we want to cover, but I know what's on our mind. What, Kay, last night?
Oh, the graduation. Thank you for being there.
My pleasure. I had a great time.
And for those of you who were there, thank you so much for coming out and supporting our 12 amazing graduates. And I'll tell you, the best part of it all was just talking with each of the graduates. They were very excited.
Over the moon.
And we had no idea when we started this 2 years ago what it would be like, and it's exceeded my expectations.
Well, I think I told you this story last night, is when we talk about graduation and the upcoming in Glencroft University, I'm a storyteller, so I say, family's going to come in, it's going to be amazing, and it happened.
It happened.
It happened. Families arrived, and it's everything we wanted. And for you to get your kind of first experience of a live thing at Glen, I mean, what were your thoughts and perspective on
Well,
what
I
you
absolutely
watched?
enjoyed the opportunity, and probably two of the things that struck me the most is we had one of the sons stand in for one of the graduates that couldn't be there. That was really heartwarming.
It was.
And then I think the other thing that stood out for me is I talked to two residents that actually don't live on campus anymore, but they came back for graduation, and I invited them back to come back to live with us.
Yeah.
Oh, good. I did too.
Yeah,
yes. I said, why aren't you living here?
We missed them.
And Ramona. Yes. And it was fabulous. And they cared enough to even be off campus and want to come back and do the graduation.
Yes. And to have 12 and have Robin Lyons, for those that were there to see that chair and have the sash and be able to like love on her a little bit with that video, we talked about it. It's like those organic videos that you get in the moment, you never know how you're going to use them. And to be able to lean back and fall back on that moment, that because she'd always ask about Tate and how's he doing, and he's so concerned about youth and getting to know and love Jesus. That's like her mission in life, and that was her resident badge. Was I'm a mission on God to make everybody a believer, and it's just awesome.
Well, and we have a resident on our campus, and she stopped me at the end. I invited her because she was a good friend of Robin's, and she said, in 2 days we would have been friends for 59 years.
Wow.
So
That's
Robin
incredible.
made an impact, and she had quite a little group of friends here.
Absolutely. Well, you're going to make an impact, but we want to give the viewers some context of how you became who you are here at Glencroft. So the floor is yours. Tell us your story and your journey.
Sure, absolutely. I'll tell you, but I'll also tell our residents and our staff here. So my journey to get here actually started when I was 22. And you kind of laughed about that because I'm going to tell you my life story. But my life story is actually a little shorter. So I started out in long-term care when I was 22 years old, and actually got into it by accident because I worked for a pharmacy. And the pharmacist went into business with a couple guys and opened another pharmacy, and that led him to hire me as the administrator of a nursing facility. So I became a nursing facility administrator at age 22. And I'm a little bit older than that now. You can tell by my loss of hair. I lost a little hair over the years, but I've been doing it a little over 30 years. And I worked my way up from being a nursing home administrator to being a director of a larger campus to being a chief operating officer, and then went on to the last 14 years to be CEO of a senior living organization. I know a lot of residents have read my bio because I've had a lot of great questions from the residents and staff. And yes, I spent a lot of time in Michigan. I spent about 21 years there. But I'm originally from the East Coast and Virginia area. And so I spent some time in my career there, as well as a very short stint down in Gulfport, Mississippi, working for the federal government, running a retirement community there that was actually destroyed by Hurricane Katrina.
Yes, that's an amazing story.
We've been telling that story.
I know.
You've been telling that story.
Well, because
it's
I
going to be
found
circling
it.
back to him.
I found it online when I was looking who our new boss was going to be, and I went, wow, read this. This is pretty impressive.
Pretty awesome.
It was really an amazing story.
Thank you.
Yeah, very cool. So out of that, how did we get to Arizona?
Yes. How did we get?
So I actually retired to Arizona
Okay.
Oh.
We took you out of retirement. I like that.
I did for personal reasons, really to do with my ex-wife.
Okay.
And so I actually retired here and spent about 2 years learning the area. I bought a house back here in 2011, so I had always planned on coming to Arizona.
So were you snowbirding a little bit? Or you
I was a little bit, although I was still working full-time, so it was a little hard to do. So I was coming out a few weeks a year. But I've actually been coming out to the valley for about 25 years, so I really got to know the area. What's not to love about the sunshine here, right?
Well, exactly.
So I decided long ago, nearly 25 years ago, that this is where I was going to retire to. And so a couple years ago when I made that decision, I actually had planned to be doing that alone. And my daughter lives out here in the valley and works as a pharmacist locally. And I met this wonderful woman. And just in February this year, I got married. So
unbelievable.
Didn't expect to do that at this stage of my career. And my wife's a very busy executive in the Phoenix area. And so she's working all the time, and I can't sit at home doing nothing. So I decided that it was time for me to get back into what I love most and what I do best. And that's come back to senior living. So I accidentally connected with a board member, and it was a complete accident. John had announced his retirement. John Wenslauer announced his retirement. The board was working with some search firms, and I happened to know a search firm person in Michigan that I connected with that had actually talked to one of our board members. And they just passed my name on, which kind of led us to an initial meeting. And, a few meetings later, and I was looking at the opportunity here. I came and spent a couple days, so some of the residents probably saw me here incognito. The staff were getting a chance to learn me. I was getting a chance to learn the campus and what's not worth falling in love with here. And so
we agree.
I absolutely fell in love with the ZoeLife program, even things like the ceramics program, the television station here, the things that residents are actively engaged in. There are retirement communities, and then there are retirement communities, right? There are those that really engage residents in meaningful, purposeful life. And so that's what attracted me to Glencroft, and that's why I'm here.
Well, that's a great backstory. And it's fun to see as you ventured into this space with us, how impactful what we have been creating and what we're doing hit you in the face of, wow, this feels different. Because that's the perspective we get from a lot of new residents, is the minute they step on campus, like, this just feels different. This is a community feel that has some edge to it in a place that just feels right. And
I completely agree, and I hope we can take that to the next level.
We are planning on it. So good job.
All right, now we have other topics that we need to get to because there's a lot of stuff going on this week. So resident surveys, that's a big one. What's kind of been your impression with resident surveys, and then we'll talk through logistics. If you haven't filled your survey out, where to get them, how to do it.
Absolutely.
But what's your thoughts on surveys as a whole?
Well, I'm going to get you to give the logistics. I just really want to talk directly to the residents. We need your feedback, and we need it more now than ever. With a change in leadership, I really need to hear from you. And I've read the survey through its entirety. There's some great questions on there. The more you can give us detail, the more you can type up information. We really want you to share your thoughts so that we can take a look at what you're thinking, so that as we make improvements in the future, that we can take into account all of your ideas. And so please, I can't tell you how important it is. Please, this is an important document to us. We want you to participate. We want you to fill out the survey and get the results back to us. We have a number of ways that you can do that, and I'm going to let Steve talk a little bit about that.
So I know that online has been a big presence for Glencroft Living, and it's right on the homepage. You literally go to glencroftliving.com. It hits you right in the face, which is cool. You don't have to search for it. It's just right there. You can do it online. Our community support team is great. They have them right there. And then concierge over towers in the waiting area. I mean, they're around campus, but digitally is easy right on your phone. I talked to a resident this morning that was getting some pain management stuff with us, and she said, she drove home from California last night and did it on her phone on the way back.
Absolutely.
And it was a perfect platform. And what she found interesting is, as she's typing, right, it didn't limit the characters as to her response. She thought that was really good, but it was seamless. It was just easy to execute and a lot more seamless than in years past.
Absolutely.
The opportunity is there to pick them up all over campus. But her concern was, she was talking, and she's a resident rep, and saying, in the meeting that they had yesterday, not a lot of people out there had done it yet and actively picked theirs up or gone through this. So I think the call to action is there. I think what you said, I would echo, and it's your chance to be heard.
Absolutely. Right. We can't emphasize how important this information is. Please complete the survey and share it with us.
Well, and it's anonymous. So no, you can say what you really think. And, you know, we have seen over the years that we've been in the meetings that you go through it and we really listen.
Yeah.
And it makes the questions different each year because people say things that you go, oh, man, I hadn't thought of that. But that is a good thing to bring up. So it really is important. And we have so many active employees, I mean, residents here, that it would be fun to hear from all of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And everybody has perspective because everybody's involved in so many things. So that the more eyes and hands and words that we can get, I think, like you said, I mean, from the pottery and the arts to the, you know, everything that ZoeLife brings to, it's just perspective is key, because somebody might drop that little nugget and you're like, see, I knew that was important to these guys, and we can pursue it. So just an important message.
Yes,
So,
thank you. Please do that. What's the deadline?
good question. I think that the deadline we're trying to get is by next Monday or Tuesday.
Oh, wow. So in a couple days.
But don't wait for the deadline.
No.
Do it now.
No,
Right.
Do it
we
now.
want to make sure this thing, we're making a push today. I know we're pushing hard Thursday, Friday to get this thing across the finish line. And again, online, you can do it all weekend and pick them up and turn them in. So,
and you're going to hear this from me again tomorrow. Please fill it out as soon as possible.
That's excellent. So I know a big topic.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I'm sure you've heard this because we have. The residents want to know, what about the elevator?
Absolutely.
When's that going to be fixed? And I know they're looking to you, hoping you brought a new elevator with you.
Well, I didn't bring one in my pocket or anything like that, but we're going to bring the solution. So I appreciate the question, because this is a great topic. So, and I want to thank the resident that sent me a letter and gave me a little bit of history on it. So it gave me some background as well. So I got a nice resident letter on the topic as well. So on the elevator, here's where we are. So we received a quote. It was excessively high, as you can imagine, because elevator equipment is very expensive. And in this case, I believe the motor is the issue.
Yes.
So we got a second quote. That was much more favorable. So we're doing our homework around that quote. There is some of the electrical work that we can do in-house, and that will save us some money on that quote. So we're confident that that can be done and be properly inspected. And the motor will have to be rebuilt. There is no question about that. That's going to take some time. So while we're evaluating the second company, we're getting feedback from other senior living communities and other areas that have used this company. We're also getting a third quote. So today, that company is out giving us that quote, or actually assessing the situation. And by next Tuesday, we hope to have that quote. So we will be pulling the trigger, making the decision next week. I felt it was really important for us to wait for that third quote, because we're spending your money as residents. And I take that very seriously. All of our residents collectively pay for all of our expenses, including our salaries. And so I don't take that lightly. And so we want to get that third quote so that we know we're getting you the best value. We will pull the trigger next week on one of those contracts. At this point, it will be the second provider that provided a quote, unless we get a more favorable contract. And then, unfortunately, the bad news is they're telling us right now it's going to take about 90 days to rebuild, to do what they need to do. However, we're asking them to move that process up as much as possible. If there's parts that they need overnighted, we're going to pay a little bit more for shipping. We know it's worth it because we know it's important to the residents. So please understand, we're doing everything we can. I'll try to provide regular updates as we learn more information. But by next week, we will have that in place, and we'll communicate out that information as well.
Oh, that's
well,
good.
and that is not just true to us. It's everywhere. I have a friend who's a designer, and they're behind 6 months.
Absolutely.
Parts are taking way longer. COVID changed a lot in our world.
Absolutely. I have a broken window at home. It's been 2 months. I've been waiting for glass. If you can imagine that.
Oh my
and
God.
glass should be something that's readily available.
Yeah.
It used to be, but right now things are not as they were. So be patient. We're trying. We understand how important this is. It's not something we take lightly. We understand it really does affect your life.
Yeah,
So thank you, John.
Absolutely. And we will keep you informed.
I think that's great. I think the fact that everybody out there knows that it's on your top of your list to accomplish and get done and push through as fast as we can holds a lot of water with everyone, because elevators around this campus, because we have basements and we use so much downstairs, it's like it's a necessary evil.
It is.
So you mentioned COVID. We would be remiss if we didn't talk a little bit about COVID, because we all have perspective. You have tremendous perspective because of your leadership with Leading Age, and we want to talk through that and just get kind of your thoughts on 2020 and everything we're in now, and we'll kind of talk strategy a little bit.
Sure. Well, let me give a little background on it. I worked with Arizona Leading Age when COVID first came to Arizona. It actually hit some other states, as everybody knows, New York, Michigan, pretty hard, pretty early. So we had the advantage of using some of that information. And so I spoke to Pam, the CEO of Arizona Leading Age, as a volunteer to ask how I could help. So we gathered information from other states, and we put together, or actually I put together the plan by merging some of that information, getting research from the CDC and putting that together. And so we were able to produce a document that actually went out to all providers at that time, including Glencroft. Now, who would have thought that much down the road that I'd be working here and we would be using some of that information as a basis for where we started. As you know, COVID numbers are changing. We've got multiple variants. I think you probably heard the recent one, which is spelled MU, and nobody knows how to pronounce it. But anyway, the good news is that one appears to be not as bad as the Delta variant, which is really the issue right now. And so I can't emphasize enough how important it is. We do have active COVID cases on the campus. We are obviously working to contain those in the health center. We have the protocols in place. Our staff are doing a wonderful job with those things. But the reality is we still have employees going in those areas. We still have employees that are potentially exposed. And we're minimizing all of the I don't want to call it cross-contamination because that's probably the wrong term, but when somebody works in one area, we're trying to minimize them going to other areas. And so we're instituting some additional measures with staff. We actually did this morning with some meetings. We've gotten back to Zoom meetings so we don't gather large groups of employees from different parts of campus. So we're actually going back to some of those practices. But for our residents and our staff, I can't implore how important this is. When you're indoor, please wear a mask.
Right.
Whether you're vaccinated or not really doesn't matter. We really need your help, and we need you to wear a mask. So we're going to ask you to do that. Whenever you're in a building, we want your help with that. And we're going to be reminding people about it, and we're going to be asking that you do that. Help us get through this period. I know we went through a nice period where we had 0 COVID cases, where the community numbers were improving and things were looking pretty good. We don't want to go back to where we were, so we need your help in containing it, both in the outside community and within the Glencroft community here. And so please help us by wearing your mask when indoors and do your part, please. And if you're not vaccinated, I'd encourage you, because I know we have some employees listening. We do have an employee vaccine mandate. Please make sure you meet the deadlines, get your vaccine, get your first and second, and real soon we're going to have information coming out about the booster.
Right.
There's already some categories of individuals that can get the booster shots. That will be changing and will be expanded to a larger group in the very near future. So look for more information on that very soon.
Well, and I know personally, I have 2 friends that are vaccinated and got COVID, and they actually work in the healthcare industry, did not know it, except for that they did testing at work.
Absolutely.
So you can still get it, but you're not going to get as sick. Or, I mean, seriously, they didn't even know they had it. It was just picked up. So it's really important to get vaccinated.
We're lucky now that we know people that have had the vaccine that were able to recover, versus when people were really seriously ill or died from it. And so this is extremely important that we take care of our own personal health, but that we also help all of our Glencroft family. So thank you.
Exactly.
Well, I think it's perspective that nobody wants to go back to where we were prior and have everything have to shut down and become isolated again. And so masks we look at is a necessary evil to make sure that we are maintaining this lifestyle that we've created on this campus. And as hard as masks are for some, I think the greater perspective is we don't want to go back to where we were.
Absolutely.
And the masks, if they help move the needle on making sure that doesn't happen, that's our part. And you're doing it for your neighbor, and you're doing it for everybody around you. And I think that's what everybody grew tired of masks late in the process, but we got to rally that a little bit again and understand again, okay, here we go. Let's champion this cause and do it for our neighbor. And that's the way we got to have our mind.
That's right.
Absolutely.
All right, so we only have a few minutes left. I want to just ask again, because you've seen other senior living facilities. They've been an integral part of so many. ZoeLife, being that we're on ZoeTV, and you mentioned it earlier of providing purpose and direction.
Yes.
We've had the opportunity to talk about the 6 pillars and how we want to implement. I mean, your mindset of adapting ZoeLife into our licensed areas of AL and skilled and building on what has been in IL. I am excited about, because your passion for those licensed areas is palpable. Could you just tell our viewers out there that maybe NIL or AL, like, this is a cause that you want to champion, that we as a senior living industry have to be better on that front, and Glencroft should be leading the way.
Absolutely. Well, I think Glencroft's already leading the way. So let me just say that to start with. I would encourage anybody that's not involved in ZoeLife, get involved as you can. Now, I know we've got some pilot programs going, we've got some beta programs, and it's limited. Please still get on the waiting list. Even we want to know that you're interested, because we need to know what the demand is, what the interest is. So I'd first encourage residents to do that. If they don't already know about it, please reach out or ask us to reach out to them and let us tell them about the program. Second is, I think there's a lot of people outside this community that need ZoeLife. And there are people that could potentially move here that aren't already here. Now, the good news or bad news, depending on how you look at it, we have very few vacancies in independent living. In fact, I spent some time earlier this week touring the 6 vacant units. We really weren't truly vacant. We were using them for other purposes, and now we're going to repurpose those to get those back online to bring 6 more residents to join our Glencroft family.
Awesome. Great.
So we're working on that. But we do have some vacancies in assisted living, and there's some opportunities. You have a wonderful program for Parkinson's disease. And so I'd like to see us develop a Parkinson's-specific program in assisted living so that we can benefit those residents that need those services and want those services. And then we can also attract new residents.
Yes.
I can tell you, I don't know anywhere else in the country that's doing that right now, and we could be the first.
That's exciting. Well, you mentioned Parkinson's, and we've had such an influx of new residents because of the programming. And when the vacancies are in AL, and that space is something that we can really tap into, it's a no-brainer. And I think that having leadership continue to see the vision of what we started and just where the industry is as a whole, where everybody's prepping for the baby boomers and everybody is trying to get their hands around what's coming, but a lot of facilities are forgetting who we have right now.
Right.
And I think that's where we want to stay focused, is eye on the prize down the road with the baby boomers, but we got to love on what we got. And there's some amazing people already here and that are living outside the walls that really need our hands on them.
Well, I know we're short on time, but I just want to touch on one thing related to this, because this is why most of our residents choose to live here. It's a not-for-profit difference. If we were a for-profit community, ZoeLife wouldn't exist, because we would use that money that we spend on this program for profit. And so I want to say to you as residents that thank you for coming here. Thank you for being a part of ZoeLife. And we're pleased to be able to offer the programming as a nonprofit organization. And that's what makes us different from anybody down the street, across town, that's actually making money on our residents living there.
That's
good perspective.
Perfect. And, you know, when I sent the news clip to my girls that live one in Portland and one in LA, my daughter wrote back, and I thought, okay, this is why we do what we do. Because she said, you get to be a part of making somebody's life move forward. It's not just sitting in place or watching TV and reading a book. It's getting out and having purpose, like Barbara said last night on the clip. And that is ZoeLife.
It is.
We want people to live their best life wherever they are.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, graduation last night gave us the opportunity to see it in action. We were so glad that you were able to be there and
thanks for your
stay for the after party. And those that didn't get to see it, we're going to be re-airing it on Channel 4. And we're actually going to put the news clip you just mentioned. Fox 10 actually came out live and filmed and interviewed a resident or two. And it was just so fun to see the community, because there's so much negative news in the press.
Yes.
And to see, I'm like, we're doing so much cool stuff. The news, this is how the news should be focused a little bit. Give some good stuff to do out there. And for them to take the time to shoot over and film our residents, and the guy that did this segment on Fox 10 was just amazing.
Oh, it was funny.
It was funny. The end was classic.
Loved it.
The after party was right after, and nobody was going to get carded.
Yes.
That's right.
That was the beauty of our graduation. So it was an awesome event. Thank you for being here.
My pleasure. And thank you for allowing me the opportunity to come into your house, into your home, and talk to you directly today. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're out and about. They're going to be able to get in eye time with you. I see you're wandering all over. So I know they're all asking, are we going to be able to see him and talk to him? And you're the kind of leader that's in the fire. You want to be out and about and talk to our our lovely residents.
Absolutely, and we have another opportunity tomorrow. I think there's a meet and greet tomorrow, and that's, I believe, in the morning.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, do you know where that would be?
I believe it's in the auditorium.
Oh,
very
great.
good. All right, very good. All right, Kay, live show. We haven't done one in 2
No.
years. This was
Kind of our thing.
we always take only one take, but
We do, and it always, just goes as it goes, doesn't it?
it's how we do it. All right, John T, I appreciate you being
Thank
here.
Thank you very much, and
Thank
thank
you.
you.